Hi, Mirella here with life coaching tips and strategies for everyday living. Today is the fourth and final episode of a series that I'm calling You Can Solve Your Problems, Solutions That Work. Hopefully, you've watched the other episodes and you have found helpful strategies that you've been able to implement in your own life. If you have, will you be so kind to tell me about it in the comments below? As far as today's episode, I thought we would do a mega strategy that involves a mission statement. Typically, mission statements are associated with organizations, with companies, with churches and schools. But I want to introduce you to the idea of how important it is for you to come up with your own mission statement for your life. So what is a mission statement? Essentially, it is an umbrella statement that states the goal, the purpose, the work of an organization. It makes their purpose clear. It gives us an idea of who they are, what they stand for, what their values are, what you can expect, what their code of conduct is. There's a lot that is packed in a mission statement. And why you should have one is to remind yourself of your overarching purpose so you can bring the best of yourself in any given situation. A lot of times when we are in the heat of a conversation and we're arguing, emotions are high, we simply forget what we're meant to be for each other, what we're meant to do for each other. So having a purpose statement and being able to recall that when things are kind of getting off track, that I think would be super helpful for you. And I hope that you agree. So I'm going to walk you through an activity that I'm hoping you will do along with me. You can pause this at any time, reflect on the questions that I'm going to ask you, and just be intentional and really stepping into these memories. So let's get started. The first thing I want you to remember and write down is, when do you feel the most alive? What excites you? What makes you happy? I was at a social gathering just last night and I asked this very question to the group of people that I was with, and the responses were so varied. They were vastly different and so interesting. One gal was telling me that when she feels the most alive is when she's doing something that's out of the ordinary, out of the norm. And she continued to tell me about a vacation that she was on with her family where she had the opportunity to swim with dolphins. And as she's retelling me the story, I can see it on her face, how excited she was to have that memory, to recall that memory, and to go into detail of what that experience was like. For another person, he said that it's dumpster diving. Well, that's the term that I use. He called it treasure hunting, which in my book, it's the same thing. And what he said is that it was less about finding an item or something of value. It was more about the unknown. It was the anticipation of digging through piles of somebody else's junk, that's what excited him. And then there was a musician, and he said that he composes music, and when he hears somebody who is playing his music, that's what makes him feel most alive. These are some pretty unique examples of what makes people feel alive, and I hope that you can recall something for yourself. I know for me, what makes me feel the most alive is when I am on stage, if I'm doing an improv, if I'm doing storytelling, if I'm teaching in some way. I love the idea of having something to say that is of value, that it is meaningful and somewhat entertaining to people. I love it. So that's the first question. What makes you feel the most alive? And if you have more than one thing, great. Write it down. And I want you to really relive it. Activate all your senses. Think about what you saw. Think about what things sounded like, what things smelled like, if it was in a certain environment, what it felt like. Trust me, all of this is going to help you find your mission statement. So number 2, what is something that you feel proud over? And I want you to focus on yourself. I don't want you to write or think about your children or your significant other or your parents. I want you to focus on you. What is something that makes you feel proud? And it could be a characteristic about yourself. It could be an attribute. It could be what you're known for, your personality. It could be something that you accomplished just this week that was really simple, that you've been putting off, but you actually got to it and you did it. You should feel proud about that. And for some of you, it's going to require you to recall a challenging time, a turning point in your life where you felt pressure and tension and things were hard, but you pushed through them. And now you can look back and you can see this journey, this evolution that you went through. And maybe that makes you feel proud. I've had my share of challenging times, and now as I look back, I think to myself, those were real moments of growth. I think back to when I first started college and putting myself through college and working hard in multiple jobs and taking on debt and fending for myself. That was a challenging time, but I got through it. 4 years ago, I had an accident where I broke my foot and I was in recovery for over a year. Now, while I was going through that, that was miserable. And I cried every day for the first couple months. But as I went through it day by day, getting stronger and recovering, and then eventually being able to walk again after physical therapy, I can look back and I can say, wow, I am really proud of myself for not giving up, not giving in, but pushing through those obstacles and coming out stronger on the other side. So what is it for you? What makes you feel proud when you think about it? And I want you to relive it again, just bring it to memory. What does your body look like? What is it that you focus on when you think of that? And then number 3 is, what are you grateful for? Like, what are some things that if you woke up tomorrow and you didn't have, you would miss? Life would be harder. It would be difficult. Those are things that we need to be grateful for. I was in the doctor's office just a couple days ago, and I was sitting in the lobby waiting for my name to be called, and I was making an observation of all the other people that were in the room, and there was a little girl who maybe around 10 who clearly had some challenges. She had some very clear vocal and physical tics that she couldn't control. And as I watched her dad and her interact, I noticed how loving and how patient he was and is towards his daughter. And I sat there in a state of overwhelm for him, for what he had to carry, for what he had to bear, that I to this day don't. And I imagined what my life would be in that situation. My mind shifted and my heart softened, and I appreciated in that moment my health and my children's health. I sat there in admiration and inspired and grateful. Sometimes all it takes is looking around you, taking the time to see what somebody else might be going through, what their challenge is. Because whatever's big to you, whatever challenge and problem is big to you, I guarantee you there's somebody else that's going through something bigger and something harder, that if they had an opportunity to switch with you in a moment, they would. So what are you grateful for? Now that you've answered those 3 questions, I want you to brainstorm for about 1 minute. Think about, what is life about for you? What's important? What do you want to be like? I want you to write these things down quickly. It's stream of consciousness, and hopefully you've done that, and now you are primed. You are ready to come up with your purpose statement, and it's not going to be perfect. The idea is to give you a starting point. So I want you to write down, the purpose of my life is blank. And here's the key. Think beyond yourself. Our purpose should always involve people. We have the tendency to simply focus on what we want, what our specific material and physical goals are. But when we only do that, we make our world out too small. So it's okay to have goals like that, but I also want your vision to be bigger. What is your contribution going to be to others, to your community, to your family? What kind of person do you want to be? What do you want to do that's bigger and better than who you are right now? That's what I want you to include in your mission statement. Hopefully your personal mission statement will include a higher purpose, a higher standard, a higher code of conduct for your life. Not too long ago, I did this very exercise in one of my home workshops, and the answers, they were so beautiful, they were so varied, and they were so inspiring. An example being, the purpose of my life is to live and to grow and to love others and to be a force for good and to accomplish things. So I want you to narrow down your statement to 1 or 2 sentences so you can remember it and remind yourself of it daily. Like, what would your day look like if you started off in the morning reminding yourself of your higher purpose? Once you're clear on your purpose, hopefully you will look for opportunities to accomplish that purpose. Think, how can I live out my purpose on a daily basis? How can I use my mission statement to help me in a situation when I don't know what to do? How can I use my mission statement in a conflict? When you know your mission statement and you use it, consider it an invitation to step out of the messiness of a situation and to be able to look back objectively and remind yourself of what it is you're here to do. Hopefully your mission statement will help you stay true to yourself and honor what you value most. I hope you found this video valuable. If you did, will you click the subscribe button for my next video? I'll see you next time.